Today on Tips from the Top Floor, we'll talk about the joy of photography. What is it that makes you pick up your camera? Also, it's picture taking time, and Matt has brought us a new Slack challenge. So we'll review the last one and kick off the last challenge for this year. This is Tips from the Top Floor 886 for sometime in December 2019.
Tips from the top floor, tips from the top, alright, from the top floor.
Hey, hello, welcome. It's Chris Marquardt. You're listening to Tips from the Top Floor, the longest running photography show on the planet. Yeah, the joy in photography. That's the title of today's episode. And there's also the assignment review for the last Slack challenge. But before we go there, here's just a quick update on that PSA I did in the last episode. Okay, you won't hear me talk. You won't hear me talk much about the sponsorship situation today. If you don't know what this is all about, listen to the last episode. Listen to the PSA episode 885A, where I explain that in detail. And this is about what's going on in the podcast world. Just very briefly, here's the gist of it. Things are changing big time behind the scenes of podcasting, especially independent podcasting. And as a result, independent podcasters like myself, we're either forced to switch to a new and very tracking-focused hosting platform, or we're left without sponsorships. And my decision to not sell the privacy of my listeners to big ad tech is going to result in me losing an important ad agency, and as a result, losing some significant portion of my income. And that starts 2020. That starts in January. And I would just like to take this opportunity to say how moved I am to see you guys coming through to help make that impact a little less severe. And for that, I would like to really thank the new patrons who have just signed up to chip in. They are Chris, Robert, Philip, Roger, Nicholas, and Frank. You have no idea how much you're appreciated. Thank you so much. I owe you. You're awesome. It's also a busy time of the year. That was it. Okay, this was it about the sponsorship thing. But yeah, it's a busy time of the year. There are lots of things happening, including book-related stuff. And by the way, before someone says, "Oh, Chris is asking for Patreon support, but he also has books out, so he must be filthy rich," the dirty little secret of the book world is that as an author, unless you've written Harry Potter, there's not a lot of money in books. The real value of being an author is becoming better known, it's a status thing. It's a networking thing. That's the currency of being an author. You don't get rich. But having that said, there's some really great news for those of you who are members of the film photography crowd. The second and updated edition of the film photography handbook that Monica and I wrote together is now out in the US. Which is amazing. So the first edition was out a few years ago, and now we've done the second edition here in Germany. It's updated. It's got new content in it, and the American publisher Rocky Nook picked that one up and did a translation. And yeah, so it's in the stores, in the shops, online, wherever you find books, wherever you get English books. And there are quite a few updates in it, which is great. I mean, it's just amazing that film photography has again become an area that has updates, and frequent updates at that. There's a film photography news cycle again. I mean, yeah, for a while it was not clear if that would come back. But I mean, for example, we just got news that Kodak's new Ektachrome slide film, which was originally only built for 35 millimeters. They are bringing it back in 120, which is medium format, and in 4x5, which is large format. A new large format slide film. That is wild. I'm over the moon about that. I love slide film, and 4x5 slide it's magical. It's amazing. So I will be shooting that for sure. And Ilford released a new orthochromatic film. And again, if this is all gibberish to you, if you're not a film shooter, then yeah, that won't tell you much. But if you're deep in the analog film trenches, then that's amazing news. Orthochromatic is awesome. Very different kind of film that looks at the spectrum in a very different way than regular film. Again, anyway, not gonna deviate too much. That is amazing news, and there's stuff happening in the analog world, and we reflected that in the second edition, or at least some of that. The Kodak Ektachrome is too new for the second edition, so I have a feeling that sooner or later there might be a third edition. And what's new in the book? Just a few things that we updated. The film tables are up to date now, mostly, apart from the Ilford Ortho and the Kodak Ektachrome in bigger formats. Too bad they didn't announce that a bit earlier. We've added new developers to the list. We've updated the 120 medium format film handling section. We updated the color and slide development section. There's more about stand development in there. Lots of new pictures in the book. And we also added and updated information about Fuji's Instax, which does have its place, its firm place in film photography. It's an analog process. To be honest, it's the most successful and popular branch of film photography ever. Instant film is Fuji's biggest cash cow. Yeah, today you learned. It's got a snazzy new cover, by the way. It's blue, so it sticks out when you see it on the bookshelf somewhere. I'm not sure how many of those will be on shelves, because it is, film photography is a niche topic. Not everyone is interested in that, but if you see it somewhere in a bookstore, in case you frequent bookstores, then hey, take a photo. I want to see our book on the shelves. And we added something that okay, this is embarrassing. We added something that we completely forgot in the first edition. The TACO method. It's one of those basic methods that you can use to develop your first 4x5 sheets of film. When you dip your toes into large format photography, you can use the TACO method to develop film without having to buy a special development tank for sheet film, which is awesome. It's one of those things that we everywhere. If people ask us about large format photography, what do I need? What's the equipment? Everywhere we teach that on the workshops. We tell people all the time, and we completely forgot to include that in the first edition, which is mind-boggling. There's like so many people proofreading this, and we looked at this over and over again before it came out, and it's not a deal breaker for that first edition at all. You will find this information online, so curious minds will know about the TACO method. But yeah, it took us weeks after we got the first copies to notice that. And when we found out that the TACO method wasn't in there, you could have heard our hands slapping against our foreheads, biggest facepalm ever, like bang, all across the country. So yeah, this is, beep happens. Anyway, I can proudly announce that the TACO method is officially part of the second edition of the Film Photography Handbook, including Photography to Illustrated. So if you've been looking for a reason to get the book or to update your existing first edition copy, that should be the reason, the TACO method. Anyway, that's it for the housekeeping. Oh, no. Stop. Sorry. Second great news about the Film Photography Handbook is that it is now officially out in China, which, again, mind-boggling to the max. Half a year ago, a bit longer, I think, we got a mail from the American publisher telling us that they sold the manuscript to a publisher in China, and you never know what comes out of these deals. So we was like, yeah, sure, awesome, wonderful. And then we just just a few days ago, we received a package with 2 copies of the Chinese version, mainland China version of the Film Photography Handbook. And it's awesome. It is... This is a book. I mean, I love the print quality of the stuff here in Germany, in America. It's really decent, very good. But they upped it another level. There's the photo prints are glossy. They jump at you. The cover there's a dust cover around it, and the dust cover has a bit of a new design, and then you take that off. It's a black dust cover, right, with a black and white photo on it, and you take that off, and the actual book is orange, and it looks like this can't be a fluke. They probably got inspired by Kodak. If you look at a Kodak 4x5 sheet film box, that's the same color. It's orange. And so it feels like a very photo-related thing. We are... Oh, and it's got an open binding, which is also something that I think looks awesome. So anyway, we're grateful that our book is traveling the world, is getting known to more people. And let's see where this goes. Anyway, that's enough for the housekeeping now. It is picture-taking time. Yay, picture-taking time. Again, the picture-taking time is the short 5-minute break in this episode. If you are in a position to take a picture, then participate. It's time for our next mini assignment. We do these on every episode, and we're going by the alphabet. And today... I should have looked up what was the last one. Was it ABC? I think we started. I think we're at B now. Aren't we? Okay. This is our B. This is our B. Letter B. It's the letter B. This is Sesame Street. We're doing letter B. The assignment is break. Okay. This time, I wanted to break the rules. That's what this is about. This little assignment. If you never take portraits with a wide-angle lens, then hey, that's time to break the rule. If you always shoot at the lowest possible ISO because someone mistakenly told you that noise is bad, it isn't, trust me. Then break that rule and crank up the ISO. You know best what your rules are. This is the next 5 minutes. You break them. You go against every grain inside you that wants to push you in the safe zone, and leave that. Break your rules, and then post your photos on any social media you like, and let's see what you can come up with. The official hashtag for the break assignment is, okay, let's make three hashtags. TFTTF, the first one. Second one is assignment. And the third one is break. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. 5 minutes from now on. I'm not going to play any cheesy pause music, break music. Just hit the stop button and come back here when you're done. Let me take a quick break and thank this week's sponsor, HoneyBook. It's what you've always dreamed of. You started your own business. You have no boss, you are the boss. But reality check, running your own business is hard. Thankfully, HoneyBook makes it easy. HoneyBook is an online business management tool that organizes your client communications, bookings, contracts, and invoices all in one place. It's perfect for freelancers, entrepreneurs, or small business owners that want to consolidate services they already use, like QuickBooks, Google Suite, Excel, and MailChimp. With HoneyBook, you can automate your busy work. They have easy-to-use templates for emails, proposals, brochures, and invoices. They also have e-signatures and built-in automation to save you time and get you paid faster. Simplify your to-do list and stay in control with HoneyBook. And right now, HoneyBook is offering you, the listeners, 50% off when you visit honeybook.com/topfloor. Payment is flexible, and this promotion applies whether you pay monthly or annually. Again, go to honeybook.com/topfloor for 50% off your first year. That's honeybook.com/topfloor. Let me also thank Acuity for sponsoring this week's episode. Acuity is the online scheduling assistant that works 24/7 behind the scenes to fill your calendar. A hands-off scheduling experience means you'll have more time to keep your hands on your camera. First, clients can quickly view your real-time availability and self-book their own appointments, reschedule with a click, and even pay you online. From the moment clients book with you, Acuity offers support by automatically sending personalized booking confirmations and text reminders, which is super helpful when you're shooting off the grid and don't have time for any email ping pong. Acuity also collects everything you need to know about a client as soon as they book by asking them to fill out customizable intake forms when scheduling, keeping all of their information neat and tidy in one place. And the online assistant helps you reach clients where they already are on social media. With your Facebook business page or Instagram's booking button, your next client is only a click away. Save yourself from the day-to-day drudgery of having to keep up with your clients and your busy schedule by using Acuity Scheduling. Right now, you can get 45 days of Acuity Scheduling absolutely free, no credit card required, by going to acuityscheduling.com/topfloor. That's acuityscheduling.com/topfloor.
Hi, Chris. This is Scott from Portland, Oregon, and I have kind of an unusual question. I'm trying to decide whether or not to buy a high-end mirrorless interchangeable lens camera. And to give a little background, I've been shooting for about 3 years with a compact camera on extended bicycle trips I do. I maintain a blog, and for that, I really love the shooting. It's been great, but I have a definite purpose there to put photos on the blog. If I buy this new camera, it's too big to take on these trips. So really, it's expanding my photography into other areas other than blogging and these trips. And I guess I'm concerned whether I'll use it or not, or sounds funny what the end point is. You know, for people that photograph for years or decades, they can gather 10,000 images. You know, I think you said you have 100,000 images. And I get the sense that most people don't go back and look at their pictures that often. Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe they print some and they put some in screensaver, but it seems like going back to reviewing the photos isn't the main joy they get from it. And so I'm kind of wondering what's the point. And it sounds a little unfair because you could equally say, you know, what's the point of golf or painting or a lot of activities, right? As long as it brings you joy. So maybe ask another way. What do you think the joy is that photography brings that keeps people doing it year after year or decade after decade? Thanks, appreciating your input, and I love the show.
Thank you so much, Scott. This is awesome. So when you sent me this, you also added that you weren't sure if this would be interesting. I beg to differ. This is an interesting question. What is the joy in photography? So let's see. I do have 100,000 pictures, probably more. And one of my joys is that that the stuff that I do with them lets me revisit them. I mean, when I write a book, when I work on a book and I go through the pictures, I do go through the pictures, and it brings me a lot of joy. It also brings me great memories. But yeah, what's the joy in photography? I guess you're probably gonna get as many answers as there are photographers. But let me try to distill an answer by looking at what brings me personally joy about photography, okay? And this is multiple things. It's not just like this one thing. It is a whole bunch of things which might answer the question why I'm still doing photography. There's the tech side. There's a big tech side in me. I like playing with gear. This aspect is getting less important over time. Mainly because, I've seen so much gear over the years, and with one of the German sponsors that I have for the Happy Shooting podcast, we do reviews on that German show for that sponsor, so I get to play with some sort of gear, with some sort of new gear every week, every other week, so it is something that is becoming more of a chore than a joy. And I've been reducing my gear. That is also a joy to to understand that the gear isn't really the point. But again, yeah, the tech side is. Sometimes I get really excited about something like the Sigma FP, for example. I don't have it. I have not even touched it yet, but just the prospect of a very small, full frame mirrorless camera, tiny, almost tiny, that brings me joy. I also sometimes, enjoy the sheer craftsmanship that goes into the gear, fine mechanics in older analog cameras. Look at Leica or Rolleiflex. The skill and experience that goes into making really good lenses, that the know-how you need to put these complex digital systems together. It doesn't matter if it's analog or digital. It brings me joy to see people doing a job well. And there's also a haptic component. Love the way the focusing works on some of those manual lenses. My manual tilt shift lenses, it is smooth focusing these beasts manually. So it feels good. But then away from the tech side, of course, there's the arts side, and I get joy by being able to capture things for documentation. Someone once on a photo tour told me he mainly shoots because at one point he will lose his memory. He will forget things, and the images are a way to remind him, to bring things back. It's his extended memory, and a part of that is probably somewhere down in there with me too. You get older, your memory isn't as good anymore. My joy in the art side is also improving my composition skills, learning new stuff, right? But learning to make pictures look more pleasing, to make them better for a specific target audience. Yeah, it involves learning about your target audience, because what someone considers pleasing also has a strong cultural aspect, and in its simplest form, you could say like a cat lover will react to cat pictures differently than to dog pictures. As simple as that. So there's this cultural aspect, and learning about cultures is awesome. I love that. Learning how to make interesting photos involves learning about light, which in turn involves raising your observation game, because that's one important thing. You learn to observe and understand how light works and how it works in photos. And the better you observe what's going on around you, the easier you'll spot interesting light. And that's a skill you can learn and hone over the years. Certainly something I'm doing. And of course, the art side also circles back to the tech side, because if you have an artistic vision, or let's say a vision of a certain photo, that might involve, I don't know, playing with the aperture or shutter speed or white balance or motion of the camera and so on and so forth. So the tech side is always involved in making that vision come true, if you have one. Or sometimes I don't have one. Sometimes I just make that up on the spot. And making things up on the spot, yeah, it's fun too. And of course, then being able to take the photography that you envision, and then to be able to use that photography for something, like on your blog, that in itself is satisfying, to be able to do that, to be skillful in something. So if you ask me what's the joy in photography, it could be any of the above, and in any combination of tech interest and arts interest, and probably way, way more. For me, it is a combination of all these things in varying proportions over time. Like I change, my photography changes. I learn new things. Sometimes I'm more into the tech area. Sometimes I'm more into a technique to achieve a certain result. Sometimes I'm all about the pure emotion that a shot evokes, and sometimes I simply want to document something in a nice way that looks good and feels good. But then I think there's this one additional component that has helped me stick with photography for all those years. And that would be just a general curiosity in things. I want to know how things work. I want to know what's making things tick. And that goes beyond the tech side. I want to know how photography works, how a photo can evoke emotion, what parameters you have as a photographer to achieve a certain result. And again, this goes into the culture of people. This goes into psychology. This is what drives me. This is what keeps me going. And that curiosity keeps driving me to more than just photography. I mean, this is a general maker thing, right? I like to understand how to make things, and then I like to make them if I can. Sometimes it's enough to understand how something is made. But then some of those, as long as they are within the means and time that I have and the resources, then yeah, sure, I do make stuff. And that includes photography as well as other things. Making podcasts, good example. I love making podcasts. And but I mean, there's very basic things in the house that I have made in the past. Soap. Yeah, it's not that hard. Yogurt, fermenting stuff. Sauerkraut. Yes, we make our own sauerkraut here at the Viewfinder Villa. It's very, very German thing to do. But it's easy and it's yummy. So yeah, we're makers here. So yeah, general curiosity is probably the underlying driving force. But you know what? Let me hand that to the community, because this is probably a question that we need more answers for, not just mine. So here's the question to you, the community. What specifically is your joy in photography? What is it that makes you come back to it over and over again? Why do you pick up your camera? Very basic, very simple, but very fundamental question. I'm sure a lot of you have never thought about this, never given it a conscious thought, but maybe this is an interesting and important time to do that, just for your own. If you know what drives you, you know where to go, you know your goals, you will understand yourself better, and that can only benefit your photography. So why do you pick up your camera? What makes you happy about photography? Let me know. Let everyone know. Record a voicemail. Send it to voice@tfttf.com, voice@tfttf.com. We're all very curious to hear from you. Thank you. All right, it is assignment Slack challenge review time. The frame challenge is over, and this is where we take a look at some of these selected photos, the ones that I selected. Again, we do this pretty much every other month. We do a 2-month challenge for those who haven't participated yet. It's fun. Matt comes up with a topic, and you have 2 months to hand in a photo that is within that topic, and then I will make a selection of 3 photos and review them here on the show. I will put the links in the show notes so you can watch along. And as usual, a few of those pictures are hosted here on our TFTTF Slack. So to see those, you might have to be logged in. I'll make sure there are like public links as good as I can. And here are the 3 selected photos. First is by Paul Henman. Now I wish I wish I could give you the title of that photo, but alas, there is no title. It is a photo that is titled 2019-1005-155009-2.jpg. Honestly, I almost put this picture back in the bin because it doesn't have a title. I really, really need to emphasize that a picture isn't done after you press the shutter button. A good photo deserves a title. Everyone. This is not just Paul. I'm guilty of that as well, but I think pictures deserve attention after you've taken them, and a title is part of that, especially if you put the picture somewhere in public. If you put it, I don't care what you title the pictures in your private collection, but as soon as you make them public, yeah, they deserve a title. Anyway, Paul, awesome photo. It is a photo of a sports event. Is it rugby something? Looks like a pile of people on top of each other in sports clothes on a lawn of sorts. Is it football? I don't. Yeah, sports is not my strength, but this is framed. Okay, frame is the topic. This is framed by out of focus heads in the foreground. And that is different from photos that are like often photos when you use a frame, you would frame your subject with things that are at the same distance as the subject. Think of a person in a door, for example, where the door is the frame, or the frame is behind the subject. Here it is in front, out of focus. Gives the picture depth. Also, is also a good way to hide things on the sides of the picture that might be distracting. So it's a really good way to have stuff, that would distract from the subject. The second picture has been taken by Adrian Chitty, titled "Sam Treading Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Franc, as the French say." What we see in the picture is a big wooden barrel full of blue grapes and a pair of feet treading them, which is a very traditional way of pressing wine. I think it's also a good way to introduce the natural lactobacteria to the grapes, to the grape juice, to help turn it into wine, or the yeast or whatever. It's a fermentation process, right? Anyway, that's a sauerkraut thing here. The photo is great. I love it because it's one of those tightly framed shots. Again, here the frame is at the same distance as the rest, so there's no out of focus areas. But yeah, it's a tightly framed shot that shows one detail of something really well. And by that tight crop, the photo also leaves a lot of room for the viewer to come up with their own story. It's kind of obvious what's going on here, but what's the setting? Are there 10 other barrels with people treading? Is it a competition? Is the winemaker doing this traditional method like as an experiment, or is that how their family has made wine forever? The barrel makes a great frame, and I love that the photo doesn't tell the whole story. It really is engaging that way. Also, it helps that I like wine. There's your cultural connection right there. And last but not least, last photo is by Russ Heim, our CIO. He titles it "He's a Young Buck," and it shows a photo of a young deer in the woods. Well, I'm not sure how old it is. I'm not a deer expert, but it's a deer in the woods. And in the description, he writes he took it when kayaking in Virginia. And it is, in one respect, it's similar to the first shot by Paul, as in the frame is in the background, is in the foreground. The frame is in the foreground. There's leaves, and Russ is shooting through the leaves, very out of focus in the foreground, but clearly acting as a frame, kind of making everything slightly out of focus there, or big time out of focus, to be honest. So that points me to him using a very long focal length, which I guess is natural if you want to shoot a picture of a deer. Then deers have a very long flight distance. They notice you, they're gone. So you need a very long focal length and the wind to be in the right direction. And bonus points, Russ, for the deer looking at the camera. That adds a lot to the photo. Anyway, everyone, thanks for your photos. This is great. Thanks for your participation. Many other awesome photos in there. The choice was not easy. But now we are on to the next Slack challenge. Release Pixie Matt. Take it away.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone who participated. For this next challenge, we're going to go back and do one that we've done in the past, but it has been a couple of years. With the holidays coming soon, we're looking at a lot of food. We've been baking up a storm in my house, and I'm assuming the same is true all over the world. And so this challenge is food. So go out, take a brand new photo, food. It can be finished food, preparing food, eating food. Go out and take a picture with food in it and post it to the Slack. I'll get a challenge channel set up really shortly, if it's not already set up, and post up one photo that's brand new. Make sure you give it a title that's different than just the name generated by the camera. And we'll see how that works. And at the end of January 2020, Chris will take a peek at the photos, pick a couple, and discuss them on the show. Thank you, everyone. And back to you, Chris.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. So this is the next challenge, food. Yeah, there will be plenty on your tables, I guess. And you have until the end of January 2020 to do the food challenge. And here's how you can participate in this Slack challenge. If you're already a member of the TFTTF Slack, there's no excuse to not be a member. Go to the new challenge channel named Challenge JAN 2020, challenge-JAN 2020. I'll link to that in the show notes. If you're already a Slack member, I'll put that link in the show notes. If you're not a member of the TFTTF Slack just yet, yes, you're missing out. There's no excuse. It's easy to get on there. It's free. It's a great community. Just go to tfttf.com/yslack, WHYSLACK, and our CIO Rusty Russ will send you an invitation. That's that easy. So again, as usual, there are no prizes to win. The reason for you to participate is motivation. It's about going out, getting off your butt, getting back into photography. So yeah, do it. Participate in the assignment or the challenge or whatever we want to call it. And again, don't just pull out an old photo from your catalog. This is about taking a new one. That is the point of this exercise. You have until the end of January, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your photos for the food challenge. And that was it for this week. Thanks again to this week's sponsors, Acuity and Honeybook. And of course, a huge, big, amazingly big thank you to all of you amazing people who support Tips from the Top Floor on Patreon. Here is the list. Chris Hicks, Jeremy Kervin, Matt Armstead. Oh my God. I forgot the name of the release pixie. Matt Armstead, Roger Nadel, Jeffrey Block, Alex Crozo, Bernhard Goldbach, Daniel Hertrich, Philipp Wehle, Ken Davidson, Leslie Riedlin, Marco Binder, Peter Morrow, Robert Henry, Scott Wurzel, Tom Stewart, Aaron Binasov, Stu Silverman, Alan Bruce Horn, Andrew B., Andrew, Anthony, Bill Betten, Chadley Clark, Chandra, Colin Oatley, Daniel Goldberg, Dave Smith, David Recht, Enkyong, Francesco Scaglioni, Frank, Greg Anastasi, Holger Krupp, James Trimble, Jim Caldwell, John Donahue, Josh Hopko, Just Me AMR, Ken Berrien, Kyle Nishioka, Marvin Aaron, Michael Grunert, Nicholas Curry, Peter M. Spradling, Rob Duba, Rob Jamet, Robert Goshko, Ryan Gideosina Farad, Steven Sandler, Thomas Nielsen, Trevor Palmer, and Woody. Thank you all so much. It really means a lot. And of course, if anyone else feels like this is something you'd like to join in to do, you can join the wonderful group of Patreon supporters at tfttf.com/Patreon. You will certainly earn my eternal gratitude. Thank you. Of course, if you like this episode, you can buy me a coffee at tfttf.com/coffee. Music for the show by Jeff Smith, sound partner, and HP Kagerud. Publishing and Slack challenges by Release Pixie, Matt Refsitter, Armstead. Slack invitations by Chief Invitation Officer CIO Rusty Russ. The link to get on the Slack is on the website, tfttf.com. And I'm looking forward to seeing you there. It's an awesome community. My name is Chris Marquardt. You'll find me on social media at Chris MarQuardt. Now go out and take amazing photos, share them with the world, be nice to each other, and happy shooting.